lung you use, as you set up the vent, you may not have a rate here. Once you put it on the patient, you will. We find the best results with the white test lung that we use. If you've got very low amplitude, big amplitude, then it doesn't sense it and you don't get that readout. And we know about that. It's always been that way. It's gotten a little better. They've made some adjustments, but just know that. So if I were going to set this up, can you throw out some vent settings? Tell me to set it up on something.
20 over 5.
20 on 5, so we're going to do something conventional?
Well, I don't know, whatever you want to do.
Okay. Let's try something high frequency. Yeah, we'll conventional. Okay, so I turn it to conventional. Then you want to turn your integrated meat off. Then usually 20 on 5, you said? Then you just make this adjustment up so you get 20. Then you adjust your PEEP valve for the PEEP. Did you tell me a specific eye time? Okay. That's about what kind of eye times do you guys use here?
25, 23.
Okay. So you can turn down this in line, but I'm assuming you guys know how to use this.
We're going to do a self-learning thing. It's easy to learn. So.
Okay. So you can just look on your vent check and it will tell you. And then, that's actually, this may or may not count out. You may have to just look at your vent check here. But there you go. That's the setup. It's not, like I said, your MVP10. Pretty easy to set up. Okay? Okay, then so now you tried your baby on conventional, and now you're like, our standard, as Wes said, any kid that's respiratory, we put on high frequency. Some of those kids, let's say it's a pretty basic kid and really not that sick, we will put them on conventional. It's up to us what we do, but we've grown so accustomed to the high frequency. If we get a baby and they're on pressures of 25 or greater, they automatically move over. Zone has us move over once we're up to pressures of 25. So let's say this baby that we're just ventilating is now requiring pressures of 30. You can now change them over to high frequency, but you need to take the baby off and bag them to do that. We're now going to change the baby to high frequency. You can choose to just turn that down, turn your knob on to high frequency. This is going to give you flow to your ventilator, the amplitude knob. So you're going to turn that on. What kind of a mean would I be on if I were 30 on 5, rate of 60? Ideas, guys?
Yeah, somewhere around 10 or 12.
Okay, 12. So now I noticed that my needle's wiggling, so I'm going to turn this off so now I have an integrated mean. I'm going to give myself a little bit more flow because I know that I've got to turn my rate up. Let's say we're on a 34, 36 weeker, going to be on mean of 12, getting a little bit sicker. So I want to open this baby up. I'm going to give him probably a little bit more than minimal bounce. Okay? And I'm going to start him on a hertz of around 8. And I'm choosing 8. Let's say he's got diffuse alveolar disease, he's a bigger baby, and with my experience, I'm going to start him on 8. So I've increased my flow, I'm increasing my hertz, or increasing my rate. If I don't have amplitude, like I said, this may not read out. It's reading out actually. Last night it wasn't. So increase my flow, got my hertz about 8, which is 480. And now I'm going to set my mean. And it's already at 10, so I'm going to adjust that up to about Well, I'm going to start at 10 if we think his mean is 12 right now. And that happens, you know, when these drop, these break off. So as I said last night, you always carry a spare phasitron and parts. And we'll go over why even more in a minute. There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
So right now, I'm set up. I'm set up on those settings. This doesn't look like it has much wiggle. I don't know if you can see that. There's a fair amount of wiggle there. I think the white Tesla will give you a better idea than maybe this one. But when I touch that, that's pretty good wiggle going on there. So then all I would do is take this off. We always make note, because we're doing a study of what time we go on high frequency. We put the baby on, and immediately, if you're away from the baby, we have somebody, if I can't see this, then I have my partner say, you know, how's my wiggle? And they'll say, yeah, I need a little bit more wiggle. And then we adjust this. And when you adjust your wiggle, it's when I make an adjustment, that's my adjustment. It's not, these numbers have no meaning, okay? So when I make an adjustment, I go like that. It is maybe a quarter of a turn between those two numbers until we can see wiggle. Then we put them on, and we usually get our film within maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and we get a gas pretty quick also usually. So,
How do you chart there when you make changes?
yeah, that's a good one, isn't it? This is what we do. You can certainly chart your mean, and you can chart your frequency, but that amplitude kind of throws people. And so we will chart adequate chest wiggle or good bounce, and then if we get a blood gas, and the blood gas, you know, let's say your CO2 is 54, and you know you're going to have to go up probably a little bit on your amplitude, we put an arrow, increased amplitude. If you're using iStat, you fall under a CLIA license somewhere, and you have to document, especially critical values, right, with your iStat? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So usually if you get a CO2 that's high, right underneath it will say increased amplitude. I don't know what your charting is, but that's what we'll chart, because you don't have a number. We increased amplitude, or we document that the baby has some kind of a chest wiggle, or we'll say generous chest wiggle, or minimal chest movement. So we do document that, but that's not a number. And so when we come into the units, they say, what's your amplitude? Well, I can't tell you my amplitude. You're going to have to look at it and move this baby over. That was a challenge at first, because people want numbers. And those people, the teams that I've gone and talked to who are used to the sensormetics, they really struggle with this device because they want numbers, and you can't have numbers. That's why it was easy for us, because we didn't know any better. We were a bunch of nurses. We didn't know about high frequency, so we didn't know what, we didn't know what the amplitude number. We didn't know if 20 was high, 40 was high. So we had no problem turning up the amplitude to make that baby better. So that's the thing. You don't have an amplitude readout, and that's what we charge. Does that answer your question?
How do you chart the auto, where it changes on its own and you just let it change? What were you calling that last night?
I will chart mean either auto adjusted, or I just if in our chart, do you have? We'll just write in there increase to 18, and we put in our notes, it auto adjusted that. And what he's talking about is, so I'm going along, and my mean is set at, when we decided 10. And most likely on this baby that we just put on high frequency, I probably have to go up on the mean a little bit. I get for a baby that's fairly sick, getting sicker, you anticipate. So if you think about the history of this is a baby that's getting sicker. So I go up to open this baby up. Once they're open, I can wean them down, but I gotta get them open first. So I got up on my mean,